Sebastian, share the screen, please. All right. Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for being here and welcome to the Nepal-US AI Hackathon 2025. So this is an event we're hosting for almost 200
Sebastian,
Nepali.
share the screen, please.
All
All right. Hi, everyone. First of all,
oh,
thank you
sorry.
for being
One
here and
second.
welcome.
All right, technical issues, but we're here. We're here. So, anyways, hey everyone. First of all, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the Nepal-US AI Hackathon 2025. So, this is an event we're hosting for almost 200 Nepali techies from 47 different states, including our participants, mentors, judges, keynotes, and our workshop lead, including our partners. Now, I might not be able to see most of you, but hopefully everyone's clapping behind the screens. And by the way, like drop where everyone's from, so at least I know some people are listening to me. All right, so I'm gonna give a couple seconds because I want to see if people are actually listening to me right now. Okay, there we go. Boston, we got Dallas, Texas, Texas. Oh wow, a lot of people from Texas. So, anyways, I know everyone's excited to get started, so I won't take too much of your time, but did want to touch upon three quick things. One is a little bit about NSA Boston, to how and why this hackathon started and what we want to achieve from this. Right, so for those of you who don't know me, Mam Zray, the founder and president of NSA Boston, and we started this organization to connect and empower Nepali students, professionals, and executives in Boston. But judging by how things are going, it seems like we have definitely expanded or scaled our impact. What does my team say? Yeah? Raise your hands because I can only see you guys. Okay, there we go. So before we move forward, I just wanted to share a little bit of my story on how everything started. So when I came to the US 2018 as a freshman at Bentley University, quickly realized that I was the only Nepali student in my university, which means that first year I had zero Nepali friends, right? So yeah, I did feel a little disconnected, and it is what it is. But fast forward from then to 10 months ago, I hosted this backyard party for 50 of my friends and friends of friends. So the next morning I woke up and a little hungover, if I'm being honest, and I thought to myself, what if I threw an event for just Nepali students in Boston so that they don't have to go through what I went through? I know. So on November 24th, we hosted our first event for 40 Nepali students in Boston. And fast forward from then to now, in 10 months, we've hosted close to 20 events for almost 1,500 Nepali students, professionals, and executives. So anywhere from panels, mixers, workshops, speaker series, cocktail night. I know Pragya's been, no, didn't attend. Ashmi's been to the cocktail night. Svash has been to the cocktail night. So pretty much every different kind of event you can think of, we've done it, right? So now I know you guys might be wondering, Ki, how did you go from throwing backyard parties and these mixers to hosting the first national AI hackathon for Nepali techies in the US? So here's how it all happened. So about 3 months ago, I had just launched my podcast called NSA Media. On the second episode, I interviewed this very smart girl. Okay, recently graduated from MIT, an advisor for the Nepali Women Plus in Computing, and now works as an AI product manager for this biotech firm. Ani, most of you might know her as the co-chair for the Nepal-US AI Hackathon 2025, Pragya Neopani. Pragya, say hi. Ani, obviously me being me, I was like, Pragya, like how did you get into MIT and all these top different companies, right? And she said, right off the bat, he was attending her first hackathon. Titi I had no idea what a hackathon was, I'll be honest. So she tells me this story. She was like freshman year of school, um, Mississippi no car, right? Barely knew what a hackathon was, but somehow they managed their way to get a car, and her and a few of her friends basically drove 8 hours, like 8 hours to Dallas, and then attended this hackathon. So 2 hours of sleep, 48 hours, coded side by side with all these different strangers, and he ended up winning. And I'm sitting there like, damn, I know. Um, but what really hit home was she said that few 48 hours really helped shape her entire career. And not because of the project itself, but because of the people she met, right? The confidence she gained and the clarity she walked away with. So that was the moment when Pragya and I was like, okay, what do you think about the Nepal-US AI hackathon? And that's how the idea basically came, right? An event that's not just for connection or inspiration, but like an event that can actually promote collaboration and activation. But you got the say, obviously we did stumble upon some roadblocks because I was like, okay, I understand there's like hundreds of hackathons that's happening every year, right? All these big companies, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, they're running this. So what makes a hackathon that some people who's never hosted hackathons special? Are you guys curious? Let me see the chat if you're still engaged. If you're curious, say you're curious. Let me read the chat. Curious. Okay. Okay. All right. So let me tell you why, right? This hackathon is so special because it's tailored specifically, I'm going to repeat it again, it's tailored specifically for the Nepali tech community in the US, meaning everyone, right? Participants, mentors, judges, keynotes, partners, everyone is Nepali. And not just from Boston, but Nepalis from across the US together in one space. Um, I know I can't see or hear people, but I hope you're clapping again, eh? Um, but anyways, so while we were planning this hackathon, I was talking to a couple of my friends, and they were like, "Oh, isn't it just a competition? Isn't it like Hunger Games? Isn't it like Shark Tank?" So that's when we started thinking, okay, if we are doing this hackathon, we can just make it into a competition, but we have to make it into some sort of a launchpad that provides real outcomes. So think of connections that last beyond this weekend. I know hands-on experience you can showcase in jobs, grad schools, interviews, mentorship from Nepalis from top different companies. So Google, Microsoft, McKinsey, World Bank, and all these different companies learn from judges and keynotes. We have like amazing keynotes that's talking today, right? Who founded multi-million dollar companies. I mean, yes, prizes are there too, but um, more than prizes, I think it's the confidence that you build something meaningful together with not just anyone, but everyone who's Nepali in the US. So that was the vision. Before I move forward, like, what do you guys think of the vision? Chat, ma. I feel like I'm a streamer right now saying chat. Okay, so that was the vision, but of course, none of this would have been possible without an incredible team behind the scenes. So I want to give like some quick shout outs. Um, okay, let me see. So Pragya, who's the co-chair, we have my sweet sister Subhasha, who's the head of marketing. We have Ashmi, who helped with the outreach and communications. Ritu and Suryoday, who helped with the logistics. And last but very, very, very important, our advisor Sanjay Dai, who not just supported this vision since day one through mentorship or guidance, but also personally sponsored the three prize monies through his education fund called June Kiri Project to make this hackathon possible. So Sanjay, I know you're somewhere there. I don't see you, but thank you very much from me and the entire team. Eh? So with
Very
that,
much.
was that Sanjay?
Yep. Happy to be part of the hackathon here today.
Thank you. So with that, just wanted to conclude my rant by saying this weekend, it's not a weekend just about competing. I know it's about learning, it's about building, it's about dreaming big where you're showing the world what Nepali talent in the US can do when we come together. So with that, I don't know, I feel like I'm like Barack Obama, but I'll hand it over to our MC Ashmi, who's gonna walk you guys through what the hackathon's gonna look like in terms of schedule, Ani, just what the night's gonna look like. Right, so thank you, Ani, for everyone here. Let's make history this weekend. Woo!
Woo! I'm just gonna clap for you, Shrey. Thank you so much for that amazing, wonderful introductions. And hello, everybody. Once again, welcome to Nepal-US AI Hackathon. I'm pretty sure every one of you are as equally excited as I am. So without wasting much of your time, I would like to kickstart this with this schedule for our 3-day long hackathon. So the schedule for today, Friday, is we started at 6 p.m., the opening ceremony that Shrey talked about his wonderful journey, and I literally had a goosebump. So amazing. So 6:30 p.m. we have our amazing keynote speakers, Sanjay, Manandhar, and Samir Maskey. They are the expertise from the industry themselves, sharing their insights and inspiration to you all. Followed by Christina Kaista, who is our another keynote speaker for tonight at 7:15 p.m. After that, at 7:30, we will have a discussions on the problems and challenges, and we also have a mentorship tutorial sessions where we'll introduce you to the theme and challenges and all of that. And right after 7:30 at 7:45, we have another team matching session. So that was exciting last time, and it's super exciting again. For that, we are sending you another Zoom link. I think most of you have already received it through email, but we'll drop it in the chat as well. And then we are officially gonna begin our hackathon. Oh, I'm super excited for that. For that, please start brainstorming when talking to your team, planning it out. And at the same time, at 8 p.m., we will also have our informal Zoom networking sessions. So you can use the same Zoom link that we are going to drop to you again in the chat box. Feel free to come, hop by, say hello, talk to us, or just be friends with us. And at the end of the day, night in Boston, at 9 p.m., we have our team registration due. So make sure you register your team, have your team name and all the details to be submitted. That is how it's going to look like for tonight on Friday. So I'm also going to quickly go over our Saturday and Sunday schedule. So for Saturday, tomorrow, we will start at 9 a.m. So we will have our morning check-ins and reminders where we might give you some updates or any kind of announcement. You can also drop in to have any question answers, or, we can just simply talk about deadlines. And all day tomorrow, we will have our mentors office hours. So schedule your one-on-one with your mentors, with your group supported by domain experts, obviously. So we will, again, give you another tutorial about mentorship sessions later. I think Shrey is going to help with us on that. And at 7 p.m. again, tomorrow, we have another informal Zoom networking sessions, which I absolutely love because I love talking to people. And I guess you do too. Give me a thumbs up if you're still there listening to all my schedules. I see you, Shrey. Well, on Sunday, one of our most exciting day, at 10 a.m. sharp, we have a deadline for project submissions. Just to be mindful that 10 a.m. on 24th of August, Sunday, we have our project submission deadline, and we are not going to consider anything after that submissions. You will receive a link of Airtable where you can submit all your project through. At 10 to 12 p.m., we have preliminary judging block with also decision being sent to the participants by 12:30 p.m. So, which is probably very exciting, and maybe your heart might be racing at the time. Drink plenty of water, but I know it's going to be fun. At 1 to 2 p.m., we have final presentations. So at this time, we will have our finalists already sent. We will have our team to present, the finalist team to present, given 10 minutes of total time, where 6 minutes they're going to have a presentations and 4 minutes of Q&A. And again, at 2 to 2:30, we will have our final judging block. And by 2:30 p.m., we have our amazing keynote speaker for the closing ceremony, Bikalpa Nirpane. And by 3:30 to 4:30, we are going to have wrap up our hackathon and close it and announce the winner. So super excited. Good luck to you all. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. And with this, I would like to stop my schedule. Now we are going to start with our amazing keynote speaker, which will be moderated by Pragya. So Pragya, please take a lead, and I will see you guys again at the end.
Thank you so much, Ashmi. And hi, everyone. I'm Pragya. I'm the co-chair of Nepal-US AI Hackathon, and I'm really excited to be moderating today's keynote panel session. So before that, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for taking time out to be here today. And over the course of the weekend, you could have been doing something else less exciting than the hackathon, but you chose to be here. So we are really excited to see what cool projects that you build over the weekend. And with that, I would like to thank our keynote panelists, Dr. Samir Maskey and Sanjay Manandhar, for spending a few minutes for our hackathon and for sharing your insights to us and also to the participants. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Pragya. I'm co-chair of the Nepal-US AI Hackathon. I'm also a recent MIT graduate. I graduated in a master's in computer science and technology and policy program. I currently work as an AI product manager at Teletracking, a health tech company. With that, I will now introduce our speakers, Dr. Samir Maskey and Sanjay Manandhar. Starting off with Samir Dai. Dr. Samir Maskey is a founder and CEO of Fuse Machines, an AI company delivering solutions across industries. He's also an adjunct associate professor at Columbia University. Originally from Kathmandu, he has led pioneering AI research at IBM Watson. He has also authored 20 plus publications and holds 10 plus patents in AI, speech, and language processing. Sanjay Manandhar, Sanjay Dai, who is an MIT alumni, and he helped bring the internet to Nepal in the early 90s and has spent over 25 years building startups in AI, cybersecurity, and digital media. He founded Erva, which powered 10,000 plus screens, including Times Square billboards. He also co-founded facial recognition startup Wicket, and now leads next-gen cybersecurity company Zifino. Like Shrey mentioned, he's also involved with the hackathon, and we are honored to have him as an advisor and also as a judge. So virtual round of applause to both of our speakers for being here today. So basically, today's panel discussion is going to be a Q&A where I'll be asking questions, followed up with the audience Q&A. So 30 minutes will be panel discussion and followed up by audience Q&A. So please keep questions for the speakers in the chat, and we hope to get to all of them, if not few, towards the end of the Q&A. With that in mind, Sanjay Dai and Samir Dai, welcome to our hackathon. I would like to start off by a question to both of you. I think this question is also a way for us, for me, who is at an early stage of my career in tech, and also for most of the participants who are students and are early professionals, to be more inspired by your journey. This might also be you going back to memory lane and thinking about your journey from Nepal to the US. So basically, the question is, what inspired your journey from Nepal to pursuing advanced studies and a career in tech in the US? Samir Dai, please feel free to start.
Sure. So good to see you, Sanjay. I've heard a lot about you. I'm also looking forward to hear Sanjay's journey as well. So I came in late 90s to the US. More than at that point, coming from Nepal to the US, it was not necessarily inspiration to be in tech or anything. My mom wanted to be a medical doctor. So I convinced her when I got full scholarship to come to the US. I said, I'll study biomedical engineering. It's a combination between bio and engineering, right? That's how I landed. I landed in Bates College up in Maine, and they actually don't have a computer science department at that time. So I studied physics and math, which is adjacent to tech. Luckily, I got some research grants to do research in speech synthesis in my first year and second year and third year. And then I got lucky to have professors who got to work at Carnegie Mellon and Caltech and so forth as summer students. And I got to build the first At that time, I would still say it's first in the sense that nobody had built it, a Nepali text speech synthesizer that you would type it in Nepali. And this was 2000 and 2001, right? Like AI was not in anybody's radar as much. But I was doing research in AI, got to build a Nepali speech synthesizer, then built Nepali speech-to-speech translation. So this was during my undergrad, and that's sort of what led me deeper and deeper into technology, particularly from AI perspective. And as I built it and built this tech, I started to see, okay, there's really a lot of potential if you can make machines talk like humans, right? And this is early 2000s, so this is very far from how it is right now. It's all the researchers, NLP researchers' dream is the current state of things where you can talk to ChatGPT and get very relevant answers. But at that time, the inspiration was partly the potential of what it can be. A machine learning system, a machine that can talk like humans, and what potential impact it can have for everyone on being able to answer questions, being able to translate instantly from Nepali to English, English to Nepali, which would be amazing for my mom, um, um, and others who don't necessarily speak as much English. So as the time went by, the technology itself was an inspiration on potential impact.
Thank you, Samir Dai. Sanjay Dai, do you want to share your journey?
Sure. Mine would be a few decades before Samir's. It's great to hear your story, Samir. There are some overlaps which I did not recognize. Uh, but first and foremost, Pragya, congrats to you for even conceiving this idea. You know, I'm one of those guys that, in fact, I'm writing a book that says the power of why not. So that's also sort of a journey from Nepal, but also something like this, right? Why not do a Nepali hackathon? So kudos to you, to Shreya and the team for even conceiving this, and congratulations to all the participants. This is going to be a fun, grueling 3 days, but like with Pragya's 48 hours, this will be memorable 48 hours for you all. So I was a 16-year-old kid, and I went to St. Xavier's Godavari's boarding school, and then also Jawaharlal. And the Jesuits know something about how to, provide quality education. So that was awesome. But after 10th grade, in those days anyway, this is 1982 now, that's the end of the road. And you get to choose based on, I think, a product of three different courses: English, math, science, and all that. You get to pick wherever you want to go. By that token, I was near the top, and I thought, oh, okay, we'll go to the best science school called ASCOL. And I'm sure many of you know Amrit Science College. I'm very sorry to say it was so bad that I immediately decided I'm out of here. But this is 1982. I was 16 years old, and I couldn't imagine myself how I came to that conclusion. But I started researching, and again, for many of you, this is extremely hard to understand. But research meant going to a library. In my case, was British Council Library on Kantipath. And so I came up with 8 names, wrote to all of them. About 4 didn't respond. One said, okay, 50. So my search terms, if you will, were international student, engineering, and full scholarship. One finally came back and said, okay, fine, 50% scholarship. Well, you know how many dollars you'll have with Nepalese rupees, right? And my parents were academics, so it wasn't going to amount to much. So I ended up, saying, all right, I'll just wait it out. So one came back with 80%, another 90, and still it could not work. So I almost gave up. And in the meantime, my friends, my classmates knew what I was doing, and they said, what a daft idea. This is just complete stupidity. And my response was, and I hope you all sort of take that as a as a potential way to drive your life. I thought the probability is very, very low, but it is not zero. If I do nothing, the probability of getting to the US is zero. But if I just manage to get something, it might be a 100% probability. So my book is also about that, which is, even though there are probabilities, those are generalized notions. If you put your heart to it, it could be 0 or 100. So lo and behold, I got full scholarship to go to United World College in New Mexico. It's a 2-year program, as some of you may know. And there they said, your math, chemistry, physics grades are very, very good. You ought to apply to MIT. And I said, what's MIT? Just apply, see if you get in. And I said, I'm a poor kid from Nepal. I don't think I can afford that. He said, don't worry. MIT is needs blind, which basically means they'll cover the delta. And I said, my delta is going to be 100%. And they covered all of it. And I ended up getting electrical engineering, computer science degree, and worked at places like Sun Microsystems, 9X, which is now called Verizon, Siemens, Sun Microsystems in the Bay Area. It doesn't exist anymore, so many of you probably don't know that, but the Meta campus is where I used to work. But this is where Samir's story and my stories kind of overlap. I didn't even know this. So my master's is from the MIT Media Lab, and the group is the speech group. So a few years, perhaps decades before him, but we were doing speech recognition and speech synthesis. And I'm sure Samir knows about hidden Markov models and all that. So we're doing sort of AI, not this current generation of AI, but very, very crude early versions of AI. And but what I realized is it was not well done, or it was not ready yet. You had to speak like this. So the computer was too expensive. So the recognition didn't work well. Synthesis didn't work well. So I said, okay, forget that. And I ended up starting to focus on data networks. And hence, I had the opportunity to basically do a little bit of an arbitrage because it was $3 to call home. And many of you today don't quite understand that concept because you can call anywhere for nothing, for zero, right? But in the US, it was 30 cents a minute, and to call Nepal was $3 a minute, which meant I never called home. So much later, it was called a voice over IP. So started using the data networks that was available to make calls that did not need to end, and nor was it tariffed. It was $0 to make calls. So I thought more than calls, what I'm more interested in is asynchronous communication of email. And of course, I didn't want to go to Nepal Telecom, so that's why found a nonprofit that did LEO, low Earth orbiting satellite, and has, as a result, HealthNet Nepal became the first ISP in Nepal. But long story short, after Siemens, I thought I want to start my own companies, and so this is what I do today. I'm just, I think, obstinately curious person, and so I've done a lot of things, including technology investments, but also more recently, technology companies in many different areas, as Pragya has said. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sure we'll get into other things as we go along.
Wow, wasn't that inspirational? Thank you so much, Sanjay Dai and Samir Dai. I think hearing your journey, and this is not now, right? It's in the 80s and the 90s, coming to the US, working on whatever AI was there at that time. So, and reaching here, it's really inspirational and also motivational for us to think about what opportunities lie ahead of us. And I hope that myself and the participants here will take key takeaways from your journey of trusting yourself, being curious, and following your passion from today onwards in their career as well. Thank you so much. Now that was the past. Now I want to dig a bit deeper into what you have been doing now. Also, in terms of like both of you have been innovative leaders in building companies, startups, and scaling them from the ground level, right? Sorry, Sanjay Dai, this is a question for you again, but you've built and scaled companies across very different domains, from digital media to facial recognition to cybersecurity. I want to know, or we want to know, what are the biggest lessons you've learned about turning innovative ideas into successful businesses? And I think your answer will also be especially important for the participants as they sort of ideate a project and think about scaling them up in the future, right? So what we want to know is, in your view, why do you think so many startups fail, and what makes a few of them stand out and succeed?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Back to I'll bring St. Xavier's again into the picture. Father Donnelly was our English teacher. He was also our spelling bee coach, and he was a basketball coach. And he was 6'2", I think, and we were little kids, right? And he would scream at the top of his voice, this hulking, priest, and he'd say, "You can't score if you don't shoot. You gotta shoot." And that stayed with me throughout life. So, sometimes you look like a fool, right? But, in hindsight, it might actually work and you look like a hero. But you need to keep taking the shots. And if you think about it, even the coming to the US story is exactly that. In 82, I was doing the research. In 83, I ended up coming here, even though my friends were saying that is a low probability. What I'm always doing in terms of, company building is I'm looking for white space. White space is basically where there isn't a lot of activity, but also, as I said, I'm just a curious person, and I read a lot. I'm thinking about it a lot, from macro issues, macroeconomic issues, to finance issues, to what is my family buying, right? To what are the needs of different folks. So I'll tell you about Erva's story. Erva is a company that I bootstrapped, but I was actually in London in the late 90s picking tech stocks. And I used to take the London Underground every day. And across from the tracks were these big, very, very big posters. And these were vinyl or paper. And I thought, wait a minute, this browser, and now we're starting to get PDAs, public display devices, right? And also mobile phones. And again, I know we all have smartphones today, but those were two different things. They came together and became a smartphone. So I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if that poster were a digital screen and I, with my digital device, could actually change the content? So that was an aha moment, but I couldn't execute on it. So after 9/11, I decided, move the family back to the US, to Cambridge, and I thought, okay, let's work on this. And nobody was doing that. And in fact, there were very few digital displays. And one hypothesis I had was that hardware that I'd seen, the price keeps coming down. If the price keeps coming down, the volume is going to grow, and that means not only large companies, but even Joe's Pizza Shop's going to have displays. And if they have displays, they'll need a very simple way to change content. And of course, as the displays started happening, what happened was people started hooking up their CD players, DVD players to the display. Well, that's a very canned content. What if you wanted to have headline news? What if you want to have, some real-time content? To do that, I thought this is why you need a connected device and browser-based way to make the change. And as you said in your introduction, it was, again, it took 10 years. It was bootstrapped. So for the first 5 years, I did not get paid by the company, but just to protect the downside for myself and the family, I did go get another job that paid health insurance and a salary, and that's how you manage. Entrepreneurs are not risk seekers. Entrepreneurs are risk managers. So there's a downside risk that would not have health insurance. That's not good, especially when you have two little kids. So the management of that risk was to go get another job and do 80 hours a week. And I knew that, so the long story short on that is that why do some fail and some companies succeed? In my case, it's just staying alive. I mean, we had many near-death experiences, but very few entities stay alive 10 years, right? We even went through 2008 and 9. So there's that example, but also the Zafino is in cybersecurity and compliance and governance. But during the pandemic, I realized, oh my gosh, and I was running a facial biometrics company, as I told you, but why is the Bitcoin price going up so much? I thought, there's supply and demand. There's a lot of demand for Bitcoin because it was the currency of choice for a lot of, ransomware attacks. So I thought, again, remember, I'm always looking for white space. And the white space I thought about at the time was there are choices for every product. I choose to buy it or not buy it. With cybersecurity, with what I saw during the pandemic, I thought there's no choice. Your livelihood, your company could be completely gone if an attack is bad enough. So I thought maybe the TAM, total addressable market, there is more interesting, and that's why the current company. But we can talk a lot about other companies, but the lesson here I think is always stay curious, and where you think you might have an edge, go all in.
Amazing. Thank you, Sanjay. I think one key lesson that participants can take for the hackathon is looking for white spaces. So look for white spaces in areas of your interest and try to find opportunities and think about what problems can be addressed as a part of the hackathon. So moving on to Samir Dai, um, Fuse Machines is a popular name in the tech scene, especially in Nepal, with much of its AI talent coming from Nepal itself. I think it is fair to say that Fuse Machines has deep roots in the country. Now, my question for you is, do you see Nepal becoming a hub for tech and AI innovation? What unique opportunities do you think exist right now, and what challenges are there that need to be addressed for Nepal to compete globally?
Absolutely. I think Nepal has all the potential to be an AI hub. It has a lot of things going for it. Talent. I think Nepal has amazing set of talent. There's some of it is raw talent that requires a little bit of training, but really, really good talent. And especially for a lot of Nepali engineers who are, some of them are hopefully participating in hackathons. They are very proactive in learning new skills and trying new tools and so forth. So like really, really good set of talent. It has, particularly for AI, if you think from a compute power and whatnot, there's particularly from energy demand and so forth. There's more and more things happening even on that front in Nepal, where some of the hydropower that's being generated could potentially be used for data and compute infrastructure, and have all these green compute centers. Some of the policies are starting to change. I think that's going to take a while, but at least there is some forward steps that is happening on some of the AI related policies. And frankly, these days, AI is a big equalizer, right? And even if you are in Nepal and you do not have a lot of resources, you do have a computer and you do have access to the internet. And with that, if you are able to learn things and collect the skill sets, you can compete globally. And that's what's happening, where a lot of the engineers, software developers in Nepal is already providing services to global companies, creating products for global audience, and a lot of times also creating products for Nepal as well. And especially with AI, I think when you are building solutions, there needs to be a lot of tuning based on the local problems. And if you want AI solutions built for Nepal, building in Nepal by Nepalese engineers have a lot more chances of success because of knowledge and local knowledge and know-how. So I think Nepal absolutely has a very, very good chance of being a high-powered AI hub, and I think it is already starting to be. I think it was a couple of years ago, I had seen this report that among the Coursera had taken out a report on number of engineers taking courses in Coursera on AI and so forth, and how many were graduating. And Nepal was, in emerging countries, Nepal was in top 10, which is really amazing. And these days, you start to hear from other companies as well that they're starting to create their more presence in Nepal because of the quality of talent and also the English speaking skills as well. So I think there's a lot a very high chance that Nepal could be a big AI hub. Definitely has challenges, a lot of challenges. Some of the challenges is not as bad as before. So I would, like 10 years ago, in Fuse machines, we used to have this massive roof just for battery, right? Just batteries, because we would not know when the electricity will go out. That had changed quite a bit, and we don't have as big of a room with all the batteries. Similarly, when the power was not there, in the very beginning, when we were scaling up and we were buying a lot of computers, we decided we're not going to buy any PC, but all the laptops, so that when the electricity goes out, you know, everybody can still work for about 2 to 3 hours until the battery runs out. So electricity was a big challenge. It is coming down, but I think it is still a challenge to some degree. I think the other challenge is the compute. Nepali companies still struggle to have access to AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Cloud, and so forth, partly because of policies that are in place, which does not make it easy for any Nepali companies to buy, you know, software from the US or Europe and so forth, because that needs payments in dollars and so forth. So there's all this foreign exchanges related restrictions that has created challenges for a lot of companies and especially smaller companies that are just about to start because they don't have resources to be able to address that, right? So some of the policy related challenges are there, not just in forex and investments and so forth. You know, there are some in data as well, right? There's not a lot of highly usable data, I would say, in the forms that would be useful for many different industries, right? There are some industries outside Nepal where there's a lot more data, from agriculture to medicine and so forth, health records and so forth. In Nepal, if you want to innovate in agriculture or health, right, the data access, data policies are not there yet. So these are some of the challenges. But like I said, I think there is a massive potential for Nepal to be a hub, and a lot of opportunities to build companies in Nepal for Nepal, build companies in Nepal for the world. And both are very, very possible today. So a lot of opportunities.
Yep. Thank you so much, Samir. I think our participants today can be inspired by Samir's journey and think about how they can think of innovative ideas and project solutions for Nepal, but also global. So switching gears a little bit, but still staying in the theme, since this is an AI hackathon, I couldn't stop myself from asking questions about AI. So Sanjay, to start with you, your latest venture, like you said, Zafino, leverages AI to help organizations prioritize and remediate cybersecurity vulnerabilities. How do you see AI influencing the future of cybersecurity?
Yeah, I think that is already proven. I mean, almost all technologies, new technologies coming into the market is sadly, exploited very well by the bad folks. So another area of white space, what I was seeing was some of the attacks that were happening in so about 5, 6, even before the pandemic, was that they were starting to be sophisticated. So a lot of ML was being used. And so now, as you all know, with NLP being used, even non-developers can start actually creating, chaos, cybersecurity, problems, right? They can create payloads that are, very, very novel, and they got a lot of help from AI and generative AI models. So, there's a lot, of course, we are on the defensive side, and we use a lot of AI to find a lot of some of these attacks that are coming. The only problem here is that these new attacks, AI-generated attacks, are very, very high scaled. They move very, very quickly. What does that mean? That means uh, prior to this generation of AI, if there was an exploit discovered, let's say across the world, it might reach the US in meaningful way within 24, 48 hours. Now it's milliseconds, right? So why? Because a lot of bots are being exploited to do that. And probably the most pernicious of them all, the third reason, is that they're super sophisticated, which basically means all the defenses you had or all the investments you made in cybersecurity defense is kind of worthless, right? I mean, these attacks are totally orthogonal to the investments and defenses you've had. So we almost don't have a choice but to use AI for defensive purposes. So there's that element. So Zafino, of course, start off with our initial product, which was automated pen testing. Pen testing stands for penetration testing, which is basically ethical hacking. And penetration testing's history is that it is done by experts who have a lot of knowledge, which basically means they're very expensive. And as a result, you do it infrequently, maybe once a year. And whenever I hear that, I say, well, how many times a year do you brush your teeth, right? For good hygiene, there's got to be a little bit of a frequency because the attack surface is constantly changing, but because of what the world does around you, or also what you do to yourself. You hire more people, let people go, you add new systems or whatnot. The attack surface is changing, so you need to do it with some frequency, but you can't because it's predicated by human and the hours and so forth. So we took, and by the way, this has a relationship to the prior question. We did some of that mind mapping in Nepal and built the initial product in Nepal to automate the penetration testing. So now the new area we are in, and so basically it's a portfolio of products for our platform. The newer products are also using AI, but in a different way now, not for defensive purposes against attacks, but to go after a very, very boring but very needed area called compliance and governance. So, as an example, CMMC is a compliance requirement put in place by the US government. And it has this history in the SolarWinds attack, which is what they call a supply chain attack. So the attackers were very clever. They said instead of attacking endpoints or computers, lots of them all around the world, why not attack a supplier of software that updates these thousands, hundreds of thousands of machines around the world? So they attacked the configuration and updating software of SolarWinds. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. And that affected a lot of machines, including government machines. So what the government realized that you can't just ask a government contractor to be compliant. You have to ask the entire supply chain to be compliant, including the janitorial services that provides their services to Northrop Grumman. So just telling Northrop Grumman to be compliant is not sufficient because attacks are not going to come through Northrop Grumman. It's going to come upstream from a very, very tiny entity that doesn't know how to protect itself. So CMMC is to protect the entire supply chain. But the documentation needed to be compliant is so huge that you can't hire enough people to do that. Or, even one time, compliance through consultants and all that would be about $300,000 to $500,000. That's a big number. So as a result, it's not getting done. So what we've done is we basically ingest all the documentation that's available in a company, and we also use AI to find all the gaps of what they're doing and say, you ought to do this, this, and this, and you'll be compliant. So that's the long and short of what all things we do. And again, back to the hackathon participants, when you're looking for white space, you're not only looking for good ideas, but also you're looking for, at least especially when you're building companies, where can you make money? And sometimes you can make money in unsexy things. I know they always say, if a screw is needed everywhere and you can, manufacture that screw very, very cheaply, you might make a lot more money than a very, very sexy, piece of software. So in the software world, ingesting documents and all that is very, very unsexy, right? But having said that, it's needed and it's not a choice. By October 2026, anyone that wants a government contract or has a government contract or a grant or whatever needs to be compliant. And so as a result, there's a cliff coming up and there's a demand.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you so much, Sanjay. I think, like Sanjay mentioned about the potential opportunities in the cybersecurity space, especially with AI-based innovation, I think like that would be a promising area for our participants to explore during the course of this hackathon. So I would encourage all of you to think about it as well. Moving on to Samir Dai, I wanted to ask you, since Fuse Machines is heavily involved in applying AI in multiple domains and sectors, the question that I wanted to ask you is that as generative AI becomes more common in both in workplaces and daily life, how can organizations embrace the opportunities it offers while also managing the risks and prepare for the changes it will bring?
Excellent question. I'll start by talking about how we use internally AI a little bit, how the culture is starting to shift internally, how more and more employees are starting to use, and what changes have we started to see. So there are a whole bunch of areas we are starting to use AI. Some with a top-down approach, as in like we strategically said, okay, let's do this because this is important. Some naturally started by the employees themselves, and it bubbled up where they said, "Oh, I've been doing this, and it seems to be super helpful. We should have other people do it, right?" And it encompasses over product development, engineering, in marketing and ads, and a few other places. So we use it heavily now for code as a coding assistant system. So a lot of the engineers have access to a coding assistant platform that we have internally deployed in our AI studio. We have a platform called AI Studio. And the first set of reactions is engineers seems to love it because they seem to have a lot of productive gains, especially trying to have system write more simpler code, debug it, or have it write cleaner code. And a lot of the engineers are starting to use it and seeing a lot of success with it. And that was more top-down approach because we, as an AI company and AI engineering company, we have a lot of AI engineers, and we wanted to make sure how does it look when we deploy the system across everyone. In the meantime, on a bottom-up approach, some of the product managers, as they were doing the user stories and wanted to communicate the user stories to the engineers and to the management, and they needed to build these UIs really quickly. Before, they used to sit down with the design team. Design team will sit down with the UX team, and then there will be fronted a little bit of design work and so forth. It used to be that process. Now the product managers, they themselves are just going in Claude and just describing it. And the first time I saw the UI, I thought it had gone through that full process and created this UI, right? With simulated data, you can click on it, you can do a drop down, and use the graphs, you can drag the graphs. I thought it was done through that, but then the product manager said, "Oh, this is just through a Claude." So huge efficiency gains because that cycle would have taken multiple days and would have taken multiple people to go from use interview of a customer, the feature they requested, synopsis of it, come up with a design to it, and then have that designed versus a quick prompt created that. So quite a lot of productivity gains on particularly employee perspective. Then overall, at a high level, from a company perspective, there are a few other things that we are doing, such as interviewing assistants, because we interview a lot of engineers. And we've been trying to build a full-blown interviewing agent where the system would just come in Zoom and interview any engineer. It's not there yet, but a uh, semi full automated version where it assists the interviewer is there. Right. So it is helping with that. It is helping with some of the product build we are doing for our enterprise customers as well. So it is helping the employees, it is helping the customers, and making quite a few gains for us. But obviously it comes with risks, right? And one of the things I keep saying to our enterprise clients is, for a lot of enterprise clients, if you are in the business of selling to enterprises, you will realize like they have, most of the companies do a POC and the POC never turns into full deployment. And especially with AI, there's a lot of POCs that never convert into a full deployment. And part of the reason, from what I have seen, is the accuracy needed for enterprises to deploy the system to their end customers, the accuracy needs to be extremely high. Noise tolerance is quite low. Right? ChatGPT, when you talk to ChatGPT, we make a good use of it. We have a high noise tolerance. If it makes a mistake, it's not end of the world. But if a refund agent of a retail company makes a mistake of putting 2 more zeros on a refund, or giving a refund to a wrong person or a wrong amount, it's a big problem. The accuracy needs to be extremely high. So one of the risks is, as we have seen across some of the clients, is the accuracy of the system not being as high as it need to be, and the company is giving up a little early on that journey of implementing AI. But besides that, there are other risks associated with AI, from bias, and we have, many of you are doing AI hackathons, so you probably heard stories on how AI systems that are not trained in diverse data sets has biased sets of outcomes. And I think I would end it by saying that AI has creating a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of ways it is helping businesses, but at the same time, in a grander scale, it is also automating some jobs almost fully, which displaces some jobs. And how to train more people, and how to train people, especially where they might lose the jobs because it gets automated through AI education, is extremely important to address.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's some questions in the chat. Do you
Yeah.
want me to answer one or two of them?
Yeah, I was actually going to that. So Prabesh has a question to both, but Sanjay, feel free to start. His question is, while initiating any venture, do you tend to be more calculative and research oriented, or does it come with expansion of logic and then taking the risk?
Yeah, okay. So this is a very personal matter. And this is why I'm even writing this book called The Power of Why Not. So very late in life, I ran into a mathematician called Bruno De Finetti. He lived from 1908 to 1984. So he's a mathematician and probabilist, and he says he's probably his most famous quote is, "Probability does not exist." And it's a very, very curious thing for a probabilist and mathematician to say. What if you flip a coin 1,000 times? It is going to be 50%, right? So, yeah, that's a different that's called frequentist, meaning you do the same event multiple times. Life is not doing it 1,000 times. Life you do one time, maybe twice, right? So in those kinds of events, what matters? What matters is the timing, the context, and your disposition and passion, right? So it's a very personal thing. So his view is, probability is a very subjective matter. So I'll answer that question by saying, it is as many as there are individuals, how you approach it. So there are people that do a lot of analysis and say, all right, aha, I found the white space. There are others that sort of say, it's just a hunch. If I had to guess my approach, I'm probably in the middle. I'm always reading, I'm always learning, I'm always talking to people, and I just enjoy that. I'm not doing that to start a company. I'm doing that just because I want to know about other things. Um, I mean, for instance, there are 3 or 4 companies, 5 companies I've started, but I invest as an angel. I've invested in a robotics company. I learn a lot from them. I've invested in a female MMA B2C company. I learn a lot from her. So these are folks that teach me stuff. And this is another reason why I'm involved actively in this hackathon, because I'm inspired by you guys, right? Yeah, we have a few, achievements, but we also had decades. So I think you guys are in a very, very good place in that, especially if you have few responsibilities. By that I mean kids, mortgages, and all that, right? If you're just a student, go all out. Just do it. Do some analysis, but you don't need to do a whole lot. But you learn more from failures than from successes, as you all know.
Amazing. Samir Dai?
I can stop there, but I want to respond to Samir about bias, algorithm bias. That was a very, very important aspect in my prior company, uh, Wicket, which is basically, again, white space, right? In 2017, Apple said you can open your device using your face. And I thought, aha, the compute has been cheap enough that now you can do FR, facial recognition, right at the edge. So I thought, why just open your device? Why not make it a ticketing system to go to a ballpark, to go to a concert, or even go to, conferences and airports and so forth, and then also pay. In fact, I trademarked a line that says, your face is your ticket, and your face is your wallet. So the problem that so this is 2018. So 2018, long before ChatGPT happened, for about 5 years, the biggest questions were about data privacy, data security, and then about algorithm bias. And it is true that whatever data you feed the algorithm, it learns from it. It also, on the obverse side of that, is that it cannot learn from data it doesn't have. So, and I'll tell you, the first product was not recognition for entry. It was just to give us a sense of male versus female and an approximate age group for the media network. Why does that matter? If L'Oreal is paying, they care about the second order data, not only the 10,000 people at this concert. They want to know how many are women, and in particular, how many are between 15 and 25 and 26 and 35 and so forth. And they'll pay a lot more for that level of data. What we realized is, and by the way, we did the labeling in Nepal. So our models could very accurately say male, female, and there was an overlap where it couldn't tell, let's say about 10%. And we'd send it to Nepal for human labelers to figure out if it's male or female. Nepalese, as you can imagine, are extremely good with brown faces, are not very good with East Asian faces or black faces. They can't tell. They certainly cannot tell age. In fact, I think most people can't tell age. So, I think I can say this now. Verizon was one of our customers, and they were extremely, careful about algorithm bias. What if there are 10 people lined up and there's a black person in the middle, and that person is not allowed in, but everyone else is allowed in? That's algorithm bias. The model did not get enough black, toned, dark toned people. So what do you do? What you do is you ingest a lot more data of the one that is causing the bias, and that's what we ended up doing. So algorithm bias is a very important thing in this in AI generated models, AI generated applications. But there are many other questions, but I'll let you read that and you direct the questions as you see fit, Pragya.
Okay, thank you, Sanjay. Just to cover up other people's question as well, Samir, I'll ask you, and I'm not putting you on spot here, but if you
I'm
were to
okay. I
participate,
can take it.
actually, this is for Samir, I think. If you were to participate in the hackathon this weekend, what problem would you want to work on solving?
Oh, there's so many problems. One that we've been working on and that gets me excited, and this I think partially came out of the internal hackathon as well, was the interviewing agent I was talking about. I would love to build an interview agent that can, it's interview agent slash a teaching a tutor, AI tutor. It's very similar. Both needs to be done well enough so that it's effective. AI tutor would be amazing, where a personalized teacher can just be with you and teach you everything you want to learn. And the tutor could come in Zoom and give a lecture to you. The teacher could write back an email and give you guidance. The teacher can provide give you exams to you and give feedback. And sometimes teacher can give you lessons and so forth. And that all-encompassing AI tutor would be absolutely amazing to build.
Thank you so much. That was, yeah, I definitely think that would be a great solution. So with that, we have come to the end of the panel discussion. I know there were a lot of questions in the chat. I myself had a lot of questions in my question bank, but we are really short on time, so we are not able to address most of the questions. But having said that, thank you so much, Samir and Sanjay once again for sharing your valuable time, your insight, sharing your journey, and also lots of tips and suggestions for the participants today. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for organizing this, and good luck to everyone in the hackathon.
Thank you.
Okay, so while we have the buffer time, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring Christina Didzu. So she would be the next keynote. And this is gonna be a really, 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 I don't know, I say this every single time, but really cool keynote because Christina Didzu's background is she's won 13 hackathons. She's attended more than 20. She's judged in hackathons as well. So this specific keynote would really help you guys to think, okay, how can I win a hackathon? So that said, let me pull her up right now.
Yeah, while you do that, Shrey, I will give a brief introduction to Christina as well. So Christina Kayasta is a principal software engineer at Vista. She is a powerhouse innovator with 11 US patents and has won over 13 hackathons, including top titles at MIT and global tech competitions. She has delivered more than 50 keynote talks at prestigious platforms like TechCrunch, IEEE, and NFJS, sharing her expertise on AI, hardware, and innovation. Beyond building cutting-edge tech, Christina mentors emerging talents through Incubate Nepal, empowering them to transfer bold ideas into real-world impact. We are incredibly honored to have Christina as not just a keynote speaker, but also she has been a mentor for myself and Shrey throughout the planning of the hackathon. She's also going to be one of the judges. So really excited for your keynote, Christina, and thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited for this hackathon. You guys can't even imagine. I think when I first heard about a Nepali hackathon, I was like mind blown. Like I don't even know that many Nepali coders personally. And so it's really exciting to see this group come together. Can you guys see my screen all right, by the way? See the whole thing? Pragya, can you see it?
Yes, I can see
Okay.
it. I think the participants can also see it, so good.
Okay, perfect. If you have any questions as we're going, just feel free to drop it in the chat as well. I'm happy to answer things after as well if we don't have enough time. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm hoping I can share a little bit of inspiration for you guys as you're starting on this weekend. So, my name is Christina. Namaste sabaijanalai. I'm a principal software engineer at Vista. I've been working in the industry for I actually just am celebrating 11 years today, so it's my work anniversary today. And I am currently doing my master's at MIT in system design and management. You can find me online at Christy Caius on all of the platforms. But 10 years is a long time. And so in that time, I think these are my stats. I've, won in 13 hackathons. I've done tons. I've given tons of talks and a lot of conference talks as well. And I have 11 patents. But in order to build these stats, it took a bit of time. And so today I want to take a step back and look at how I got to this point. So 10 years ago, I was, a recent graduate. I did my bachelor's in computer science. I was a software engineer. I was a year working in the industry, really excited about my job. At the same time, I often felt like, this dog, I sort of know what I'm doing. I recently graduated. And, when my friends would say hey, can we build an app together? I'd be like, an app? I don't know how to do that. I can work on this tiny piece of code that is a small piece in my big company, but I've never built anything from scratch. I wouldn't even know how to start. So I struggled a lot with this notion of imposter syndrome, right? I was a software engineer. I had been working for a year, but I felt like maybe I shouldn't be a software engineer. Can I even call myself a software engineer when I'm talking to friends and they're asking me these things? I'm like, I have no idea. And so I was I was really struggling with this for a bit. And so everything changed when one day I had some work friends that came up and they were like, hey, we're going to this hackathon this weekend. Do you want to come with us? And I was like, sure. What's a hackathon? I had never heard of a hackathon, which is surprising, even if I did CS. I guess at the time, hackathon culture wasn't as big, or, I didn't have friends. I didn't have Nepali friends. I didn't have a lot of women in tech friends that were into this. And so I didn't even know what a hackathon was. So they were like, well, it's fine. Just come along with us. So I went. And the first hackathon that I went to was called Angel Hacks 2015. And the theme of this hackathon was turning thoughts into things. And this has stuck with me over the years, but this theme was turning thoughts into things, turning your ideas and making them tangible. So I was really pumped. I went to this, didn't really know what to expect, brought my laptop, brought my energy. We started on Saturday and it ended on Sunday. So it was I think we started on Friday online, and then Saturday was in person, and then Sunday was the presentations, right? So we all went and we started this hackathon. And I remember feeling a little bit like this. It felt like everyone else sort of knew what they're doing. I was struggling with even getting my development work environment working. I didn't know how to use Git at the time because at work we used some internal tool. I didn't know how to set up a new app. We spent half a day just trying to figure out what problem we were going to be even solving. So we spent a lot of time even trying to decide on where to get started. And I remember feeling so embarrassed because I was there with these seniors at work that I looked up to, and I was flunking this, this competition. I remember it was midnight, so we stayed overnight. I don't know why, but everyone seemed to be staying overnight, working burning the midnight oil. And outside the window, there were this was downtown Boston. Outside of the window, there were all these party goers, going out, walking down the streets. And we're sitting there at midnight, and I'm thinking, what on earth am I doing? I was fighting back tears. I was okay, gotta get something working, trying my best. And then the next day came, we had hackathon presentations. Every team presented what they worked on. And I was amazed. These teams, in the span of a day and a half, really 2 days, let's say, they had built these polished looking apps, these new ideas that they had just come up with during the hackathon. And they were presenting it in a way that everyone was really understanding it. I was like, oh my gosh, these are my heroes. This is who I want to be when I grow up. Right. And as much as I think about how difficult it was to go through that weekend, I learned more in that 2 days than I had learned maybe in the last like 3 months at work. It was like a completely different way of engineering. Like it was a completely different way of being a software engineer. And so, you know, I did a very Christina thing to do. I looked at the calendar. I was like, okay, this summer, I'm going to go and find every single hackathon I can possibly find and sign up for it. So, my weekends looked like this. Like almost every weekend, I was going to a hackathon. And my goal was, it wasn't to win, right? Like I didn't really care about winning. I wanted to learn because I felt like I was learning so much in that short amount of time that every hackathon I went to, I was like, I don't want to repeat anything. I'm going to use a new technology, whether it's like learning what MongoDB is, learning how to use a database, learning how to build a mobile app, learning a new emerging technology, like how to develop for VR. Didn't matter what it was. I was like, I'm going to learn a new tech every single hackathon that I go to. And so, my brother says I'm a very type A personality, but yeah, this is kind of my approach to how do you get better at hackathons. You just kind of do every single one. And so a year later, right, I did, most of the hackathons that I did in that first year because I was kind of like, that was my goal. And I went from being the person in the room or at my work that didn't know what hackathons were, the person that didn't really know about new technologies or that was almost really struggling at work, to someone that was constantly asking people, hey, like, do you want to go to this hackathon? I'm going to go next weekend. Or I'd drag my brother along. He's also in CS. And I went from completely not even being able to get a project started, and I started winning hackathons. And this was like, this felt amazing. So I want to, I'll share a few of the this is loud, but I'll share a few of my favorite projects that I worked on. Maybe this will just inspire you to think of some creative things that you could do this weekend. So this was one of my favorites. It was called HoloSense. This one, we worked on an augmented reality app to allow people that have visual impairments, so people that might be blind, in order to be able to see. And the way this worked was, we had never even touched augmented reality before this weekend. So we went there, they had these headsets for us to try. It was actually like the first Microsoft HoloLens, which came out like, just months ago. And so they taught us how to use it. We built an app, and basically like I could put the headset on, walk around with my eyes closed, and like see where I was going. It was really cool. It's kind of like the way Sonar worked, but it was a really fun hackathon. This was one of the first ones that I won. It was called One Arm Band, and I went to this hackathon with. I borrowed this like a EMG, like a sensor that you put around your arm, and it can tell you like what muscles are contracting. So I brought the sensor with me, and I was like, okay, I don't know what I want to build, but I stood up and I pitched my idea. I was like, I want to build something. Like if someone wants to work with me, then come join me. Maybe I'll do something like musical, right? Like that was pretty much all I had at the beginning. And so it was the first time I was pitching an idea. And so I was really nervous, but it was really cool because I got all of these people that I had never worked with join the project. We kind of like, again, we didn't stay overnight, but it was quite difficult getting this team to work together. And so I found myself like trying to get people to collaborate. How do we split up work? Like we don't have much time. So like, how do we get everything running smoothly? And so it's like, you don't only learn technology, but you learn all of these like soft skills as well. How do you pitch ideas? How do you run a team? How do you manage like people and projects, especially when things are like really high pressure, high stakes environments, right? So this was one that we ended up winning as well. This one is another project. The one reason I wanted to share with you is this was one of the first projects that I worked on that ended up living beyond the hackathon. So came to this hackathon, someone else came with an Amazon Echo. So if you have a Google Home or if you know like Siri, right? Like Amazon Alexa is like this device here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's this like tower. It's just a speaker and you can talk to it and it'll, respond. And I'll remind you, this is a few years ago. And so AI was not that good. Speech to text was not that good. And any conversational applications that you were building were very sequential and more conditional driven. And so I'd never worked with this before, but someone was like, I have this, I want to hack it. I don't know how to hack it, but if you want to hack it, then join me. I was like, okay, sounds like a plan. So we came, and then we were joined by a doctor who's works at a emergency in the emergency room. And he was saying how like one of the problems that doctors have is that when they're bringing in patients, it takes a long time to pull up their information because they have to navigate the UI. And in the operating room, there's like, you have to have everything sterile, right? So like you can't have keyboards and monitors. It's like very annoying to have. And so he was like, what if I could use voice in order to pull up information about the patients? And so we built this hack that basically, you would talk to it and say like, hey, can you pull up John Doe's latest blood test results? And it would pull it up on the screen. So we won that hackathon. And then a few of us were like, oh, like maybe we should do this again. This seems like there's actual potential. So we went to another hackathon and we did a similar idea, just iterating on it and working with a different electronic health record system. But even past that, we felt like we had something that could turn into something bigger. And so this is kind of like the idea. We were like, okay, we want to make it, instead of it being this tower, we want to make it a phone app so it's a lot more accessible. And then we want to be able to automatically also like scribe and take notes for doctors as as they're talking to patients. So we competed in the MIT 100K. We went through the second round, which is Accelerate, which was really fun because I feel like we got to figure out how to pitch this idea and build a business plan. At the time, I was the only coder. By this point, I was the software engineer, but there were like 4 people on the team, right? There was someone that was a business expert. There was someone that was a healthcare expert. There was someone that was a design expert. And so for me, I was learning a ton about working with these people that were not in my function. So even in this hackathon today, you don't have to work with just coders, right? Like think about who's on your team, what kind of skills you need, and people might specialize in different things. But they ended up continuing the project. They launched a startup in Mass Challenge. I wasn't involved further on, but it was really cool to be part of something that ended up launching. This is another one of my favorites, EnergyB. How do you gamify energy savings? We built this like cute web app that would basically tell you how much power you're using and compete with your neighbors. This one we went through like a accelerator. So post hackathon, after we won, they were like, okay, like if you want to continue this project, we're going to support you and teach you how to like work on a startup, right? And so it kind of ended up continuing there as well. And then this one is my favorite. It's called Parkabler. What ended up happening was a physical therapist came up to me and she was like, Christina, I have patients that are missing my physical therapy appointments because they can't find parking in Boston. So I got a group of volunteers and she got a group of volunteers and walked around Boston and mapped parking. But she was like, I have no idea how to turn this into an app. And by this time I was like, okay, let's do it. So we built a prototype. We won this one, and then we got funding in order to continue doing some UX research. So we had like participants come in this other room, and we had a UX firm help us run usability tests on this project in order to figure out, okay, like how do we turn this into a real app? Like what is useful, what is difficult? We ended up getting a grant from the Attorney General's office to continue this development. And it was so amazing to run these usability tests for people with persons with disabilities, because you learn about how people use your app when you're watching them. And so think about all of the people that are actually going to be using the products you're building. You're not just building this for the weekend, right? You're building it to solve a real problem. So really think about who you're trying to solve this for. So yeah, this one was sort of a startup, kind of ended up fizzling out. It's totally fine. I am, not a successful entrepreneur, but I think the end of the hackathon is the beginning of your entrepreneurship journey. So I feel like there's so much you can do here. So there are lots of these. I'm not going to go over them. That's how 10 years later, I have these 13 hackathons. Conference talks were really similar. Again, I'm not going to dive into this too much, but similar to hackathons, my work friends were like, hey, do you want to go to a tech meetup? And I was like, sure, what's that? And they were like, okay, Christina, just come along. So I went to this Boston JS one, and I watched a speaker like present code, like do a presentation and live code. They were like writing code live on stage in front of hundreds of people. And I was like, wow, I want to do that. So again, I did a very Christina thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to do like one public speech each week, smell the flowers really intensely. And then that's how, like, you know, I ended up getting all.
I just wanted to interrupt real quick. So
Yeah.
we have time, so you can definitely go through them. Sorry.
Oh, we do. Okay. I wasn't
want to like go
sure.
3 slides back.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I mean, the point that I'm trying to say with this one really is that similar to hackathons, the way that you approach getting good at something is really to put yourself out there, right? It doesn't matter if you're you know, if you don't know what you're doing, just set a goal for yourself, set an extreme goal for yourself, and just ruthlessly go after it. That's kind of what I want you guys to take away from this. In the end, like my conference talks, one of the first conference talks I did was called Hack It Till You Make It. And it was because I did all these hackathons that I built up this experience that when I went and gave the proposal for doing this talk, it got accepted. But this is the largest conference for women in computing in the US, Grace Hopper Conference. And there were like 300 people that came to watch me talk about hackathons. And I was like, why are these people coming to listen to me? I was still struggling with this imposter syndrome, right? But I think at the end of the day, that work that I put in and that struggle that I saw and that feeling of, you know, insecurity was the fuel that I needed in order to go after these goals, right? So I did a ton of talks, and the things that I learned at hackathons helped me here directly. I did the, you know, the HoloLens hackathon, and then I did talks about how do you program for the HoloLens. There was, you know, sometimes with these talks as well, similar to hackathons where I'm like, I want to do something new. I never repeat a talk, right? Every time I do a talk, I come up with new content. Like for today, this is all new content. Every single conference I do, I'm like, okay, like I want to present something new so that I'm learning something new. And like when AI was starting to be a thing, I was like, I don't know how to do any machine learning stuff. So what am I going to do? I'm going to sign up to do a talk. I wrote a proposal. I'm going to teach TensorFlow 101. And then I was like, okay, like I have like 2 months in order to learn TensorFlow so that I can teach it. And the thing is, like, that's how 10 years later, I built up these conference talks. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but going to these hackathons, practicing presenting ideas, and really understanding technology deeply was teaching me how to innovate. And I didn't plan for this, but that's how I ended up working on all of the patents. Because at work, I started being known as the hackathon queen. You know, like my friends would tease about that. But then I would also organize a ton of hackathons. And hackathons are a great way to not just come up with new ideas, but also figure out, okay, like what is the prototype? How do I sell this idea? How do I explain what my idea is? And that feeds directly into public speaking. So it's not enough for you to really just code. You also need to be able to present and pitch your ideas. And together, when you have these, you get really good at innovating. And you get good at that early stage prototype development, which is so valuable. And that's what ends up getting patented, right? You only get patents if not just if you have an idea, but if you can explain why that's useful and explain how that is relevant to your business or relevant to the product you're developing. So with that, I guess 10 years ago, 10 years later, I often think back to my first hackathon. I don't know for how many of you this is your first hackathon. Maybe it is your 20th hackathon. That's totally okay. But think back to your first hackathon. If today is your first hackathon, that's great too. It's possible that today will go amazingly. Maybe you'll win, maybe you won't. But either way, I'm hoping there's a moment in this hackathon that you can reflect on. That's a core memory for you, whether it's a mix of happiness and sadness or anger and frustration, whatever that is. I hope you take away that feeling of struggling and then realizing you've grown from it, because you're going to grow so much this weekend. I'm so excited for you. I'm so jealous of you. I want to do the hackathon myself, honestly speaking, but it is going to be amazing. And so this is a really short summary. What is my recipe for a successful hackathon? Now, notice I didn't say for winning a hackathon. I don't think everyone can win a hackathon and place first place, but you can have a successful hackathon. And many of my most successful hackathons are ones that I haven't won. So I want you to take a minute here and write down in the chat, what is the one thing that you want to change in yourself? Is it something you want to learn? And as I'm talking, please write in the chat. Do you want to learn a new technology? Do you want to learn how to use AI? Do you want to learn how to code maybe? Do you want to learn how to design something? Or do you want to learn how to public speak? Do you want to learn how to pitch your idea? There are so many things that you can learn in this 2 days that I really want you to think about. And so think about, what is that one thing that you want to change in yourself? So I'll check the chat in a second to see what you guys have come up with, but please do share them and write it. I'm really serious about it. Write it down for yourself, because then you can look back on this moment many years in the future. But what is one thing that you want to change in yourself? And then the second is, what is one thing you want to change in the world? So during the hackathon, you'll work on a project, and at the end of it, you're going to present it. And I can't wait to see what you all come up with. But think about, what is it that you want people that are watching your presentation, people that hear about your idea, what is it that you want them to take away? What is the change that you want to make in the world? And this doesn't mean you have to solve, I don't know, world hunger or whatever, right? Like, it could be a tiny thing. You could say, like, I want people to walk away from this and understand how, I'm getting stuck on this old example, but I want people to understand how you could use a HoloLens in order to build a sonar app, right? Like, think about, it doesn't have to be like, world changing, but it will change. If you can influence at least one other person, then that will be a success. So for me, the one thing I want to change in myself is, AI has completely changed the game in terms of how hackathons work. I went to a hackathon last year, and I was working on it with like 2 college students, and I was amazed at how they're like using AI tooling in order to like work on the hackathon projects. And so that's the one thing I want to learn, is to see how you guys use AI. Like, I want to learn from you. And then the one thing I want to change in the world is, like, I really want to inspire you to think of this hackathon not just as this a weekend thing, but the hackathon, today's hackathon, is just a starting line. So I really want you to think about, enjoy this weekend, have fun, and then on Monday morning, when you wake up, think about that goal that you had and think about how you're going to take it forward. I am really excited to be working with the winning team directly. So I'm hoping to be able to like coach you guys in order to build up your project. But regardless of whether you're a winning team or not, you can feel free to reach out to me whenever. I am honestly like, this is such an amazing thing that we're building this for the Nepali community, and I couldn't be more proud of this group for organizing it. So I hope you guys have fun. Good luck on the hackathon. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But thanks, guys. That's all I have for now. I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Christina. Such an inspirational talk, especially to our participants who are, I see in the chat that there are so many people, it's their first hackathon. I see a lot of goals for this hackathon as well. Someone is saying, how to improve my design and presentation skills, learn how to build something with AI, learn to stop doubting myself and just go build something.
My God,
wow,
I love it.
Amazing. I think it's really amazing how, Christina, you have encouraged our participants to be intentional about what they want to learn throughout the course of the hackathon. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. And as you guys are learning these, don't forget to reach out to the mentors. They're going to be such a big help for you, like especially if you know what you want to get out of this hackathon. Think about how you use that mentor time as well. Anyway, I could go on about this forever. Feel free to reach out to me later, but I'll hand it back over to you, Pragya.
Okay, thank you, Christina. Can we share the screen again, please? Amazing. So I know this is the part which every one of you has been anticipating a lot. And I know that we said that we will release a challenge statement during the hackathon itself. We wanted it to be a surprise. And you know what? Our team had a really long discussion on what should be the challenge statement. We looked at the data points and figured that most of the participants here are students and young professionals, and especially the theme being AI, and with AI opening doors for innovation and driving up the potential of what can be done, we decided that it is not fair to have a lot of constraints in terms of challenges for this year's hackathon. So I would say that we are being actually quite lenient in terms of the challenge. So we are sticking to the theme of Innovate with AI, build what matters. We challenge participants to push the boundaries of what's possible with AI. However, while doing that, we encourage you to think about solutions that are both technically innovative and practically impactful. So there are three keywords that I want you to remember, which are creativity, usability, and real-world applicability. Within those three themes, participants are free to build any AI-powered project, but what we want you to keep in mind is that this hackathon is more than just building cool demos, but it is more than that. It is about tackling real problems people face today. So we strongly encourage you to build solutions that could make a meaningful difference if scaled. So think about the three themes, right? Creativity, usability, and real world applicability. Next slide, please. So with that in mind, we have a list of suggested domains or problem areas that you and your team can work on. Remember, this is not an exhaustive list. This is not something that is strictly enforced. You don't have to build a project that fall under this category. You can choose anything. So some of the areas that you might want to work on, and these are just suggestions. These are technology, healthcare, education, cybersecurity, environment, and government. Having said that, do remember that all submissions must incorporate AI machine learning techniques meaningfully. So three themes, right? Creativity, usability, and real-world applicability. We challenge you to think about real-world problems and build solutions that are feasible, creative, and usable to the public. So yeah, that's the challenge part. Handing it over to Shrey now for the mentorship sessions.
Pragya, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So before we move on with the mentor booking sheet, how many of you guys are excited? Please, chatma, drop something like, I'm excited. I'll wait a couple seconds. I need to see if everyone's listening. Wow, 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 wow. Oh my God, guys, slow down. Yeah, pity internet crash wala. I'm joking. So, all right, let me just debrief what the mentorship session or like the booking sheet's gonna look like. Suruma Antiwasi, I'll tell you a couple rules that we have to it. Right? So this is what the mentor booking sheet's gonna look like. Meaning your Saturday time when you guys are going to be mentored by different mentors, you get to choose the different slots. There are different slots, Bandema. You can choose multiple slots. So each team will only get two 30-minute slots that they can choose. Left maase timarko 9 a.m. देखि 9 p.m. 10 p.m. सम्मको time छ, right? So अनि माथि चाहिँ it's the name of the mentors. Ranjan Dahal, Prajwal Paudel, all these guys. Whoever you want to choose, you can choose. The blue box is the box where you can put your team name, I know. That's like kind of the gist, but Sebastian, can you change the slide? I think this is what I want to emphasize more. So we just FYI, so we do have this in the resources tab as well in hashtag announcements, but I'll also email and Slack everyone right after this session. But a few things I want you guys to remember is one, booking opens at 10 p.m. Eastern today. So even if you guys do have the Excel that I sent you, or send you, you guys won't be able to edit it until 10 p.m. Second, each team may only book 2 slots, 30-minute slots. Third, extra slots book गरिहाल्यो भने चाहिँ, I'm emphasizing this, guys, please, right? So extra slot book गरिहाल्यो भने चाहिँ you will have a point deduction. So let's say your team Gorkha and you book 2 slots. Now you book 3, 4. So every extra slot you guys do book, you're gonna have a deduction in point. Fourth is after all the teams do book, we will have extra sessions available. The only reason we're limiting to 2 is so that every team does have an opportunity, but then we'll have extra booking sessions so that hackathon garira belama, if you do have any problems right off the bat, and if there's a mentor that's available, let's say at 1 p.m. and you need some support at 1 p.m., there's going to be someone that's there to help you, right? And lastly, no funny business. And when I say no funny business, it means you cannot override the other team's booking. So let's say if you were to go back in the previous slide, and Team Gorkha booked a 12 p.m. Eastern time slot with Ranjan Dahal. Right now, next thing you know, Team ABC overrides that and says, oh, it's their slot, and we do get a complaint saying this happened. We will know who did that because of the history. And you'll have 2 points deducted. So I don't think you guys want the deduction because you want to win, right? So this is like a quick overview, nothing too crazy. I'll send it to you as well. You'll have instructions, you'll have the list of mentors in the Excel sheet as well. But if you do have any problems or questions, #help at Slack channel, please send us a DM. I know, boy. It's you can email us directly as well, and someone in the team is gonna get back to you. So before I move on, well, did that make sense? Can you say yes or no, boy? Just send me a quick question there. Okay, yes. Perfect. So what's the next slide? Okay, Ashmi, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Thank you, Zray. So before I start this, what an amazing talk. I have been super excited, and I know all of you guys are too. Give me a thumbs up or anything so I don't bore you guys. And you can interrupt me if I bore you because I have quite some slides now. So I am gonna go over the submission guidelines for you all. And as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the session, that all the deliverables are due by Sunday, August 24th at sharp 10 a.m. EST. So please be mindful of the deadlines because after 10 a.m. on Sunday, we will not be considering your projects for the hackathon run. So what are you supposed to submit to us is a minute video, which should be a max of 5 minutes, and that includes 3 minutes of presentations and 2 minutes of demo. So for your presentations, the problem, just include the problem you're addressing, your solutions, and its potential business impact, key AI ML techniques that you used, and challenges faced or lesson learned. So that would be included on your 3 minutes of presentations. And for your 2 minutes of demo, please walk us through showing your solutions works like UI, model output, prototype, or how did you create or anything like that. And it should be understandable and even for non-technical viewers like myself, so I can enjoy as well. Next slide, please. Well, along with that, we also expect you to submit a slide deck. Please send us a PDF or Google Slides summarizing your projects that you used for recording the presentations, and GitHub repo. That should include all relevant codes, notebooks, and model files. A clear README including a project overview, setup and run instructions, dependencies and tools used, and of course your team members and the roles that you divided among the members. And lastly, also submit us the submission form. We will be providing you with the form to collect all the deliverables, so please include that on your submissions as well. And here we go, the judging rubric. So the first round of judging is based on your submissions. So that will be on your presentation of 3 minutes, the demo of 2 minutes, the GitHub repo, the slide deck. So please be mindful of submitting all of that on time. So here is some of the judging criteria that we have on basis of what our amazing judges will judge you on Sunday. So we will look at your innovations. So how novel or creative is the idea? Does it introduce a fresh approach or new perspective or not? Technical complexity. So how technically impressive is the solutions? So does it involve challenging problem solving or any other architecture or not? Use of AI. So how effectively does the project incorporate AI ML tools and techniques? So is the use of AI justified and impactful? UX UI, so how intuitive, accessible, and polished is the user experience and interface design. We will be looking at that as well. And business, so is there any viable path to real world applications? So could this be sustainable or have market value? Does it meet the customer's needs? So like what Christina said, could it go further than hackathon or not? Or there is a potential on that? And of course, your presentations and demo. So how clearly the team present their solutions, or was the demo functional, engaging, and informative? So on basis of these criteria, we will be judging you as well. And we have a scoring guide for each categories. So we will be scoring you 5 points for as an outstanding, so exceptionally well executed and goes above expectations, which I'm pretty excited, and I think most of you or all of you will be. And 4 points for strong, so above average executions with thoughtful effort and impact. 3 points is solid, so it meets an expectations with clear and functional approach. 2 points is basic, so somewhat meets an expectations but lacks that depth and clarity. And 1 point is minimal, so this is for a limited effort or unclear executions but shows participations. So please be mindful of your submissions, and here we go, your scoring guide. Next slide, please. So those are the scoring guides, but how are we gonna, select, or what are the process? So the first process, the selection process for the first round will be that the top 5 teams will be selected based on the scores, and they will be advanced to the final round. And after that, the final round of judging, these top 5 finalists will be asked to deliver a live presentations, including a Q&A. So basically, you will be given a 10 minutes of time, where 6 minutes should be your presentations, and the remaining 4 minutes is the Q&A for your audience or for the judges and us to ask you questions. And all the amazing judges that we have will discuss and decide the top 3 winners. And for the finalists, in addition to scores, written comments will be collected and provide a feedback as well. So yay! So we've gotten awards, and as Shrey mentioned earlier, it's more about your experience and your, building your confidence and building connections here. And as Christina said, it's not just about 2-day weekend, but also about, what are you gonna do next with the goal. So even with that, alongside, we do have a prize for you, cash prizes. So you might have the participation award too. I saw the message, but well, based on the final round scores, and we have the following cash prizes, and that will be split among the team members equally. So for the first prize, we have $1,500. The second prize will be $1,000, and the third prize is $500. And we do also have our category winners. So this is awarded to the highest scoring teams in each category. So for best innovations, best technical, best UX UI, best business impact, and lastly for best presentations and demo. So these are your awards, and our preliminary round scores will be taken as the category for the winners, for the winner category. And well, towards the end, after all of this, our communication medium for you is to look at the Slack and emails throughout the weekend, and please stay updated. And also, you can refer to your info pack for anything related to hackathon, for code of conduct, rules, any other these submission guidelines, or anything that I just spoke about, and you're like falling asleep or tired, you can go back to the info pack and read it all. And along with this, we are still here, all of our team members. We're active in Slack, and we will also be replying to your emails. Feel free to email any one of us or DM us on Slack. And then before we begin the hackathon, I would want to remind you all again that we have another session for team matching, one more session, which you will have to hop into another Zoom link that maybe we can drop it into the chat box, Subhasa. So we do have a Zoom link where you can hop it in, and we also have our informal networking session in the same link. So even if you don't have your team member, or if you have your team member, please join us if you want to talk to us, connect with us, and just, hang around. Please feel free. It's not mandatory, but I know it's going to be great. So please feel free to join us on the link that is given below. And now I would like to officially welcome you and announce the beginning of Hackathon. I would want all the claps and happy faces. And here we go. I'm super excited. Good luck to you all. I cannot wait to see all the new creations and innovations from you guys. Good luck and have a lot of fun.
Ani, just before we leave the Zoom chat, I think we forgot two more things, but we're human, so it happens, right?
Okay,
So
remind
first,
me.
there is the cash prizes, but two more things is one, we are partnered up with a VC partner. So just in case there's this amazing idea that comes up and you need funding, that's an opportunity that you guys are open or will have the opportunity for as well. Ani second ma चाहिँ, I know Christina Didzu gave her insights and it was amazing, but that's not it. She's not just only giving a keynote, she's not only being one of the judges for the hackathon, but she's also offering free mentorship for the winning team to take their prototype to launch. So, in the case that the winning team does want or feels like, you know what, this product, I feel like it's really strong and I want to take this into an MVP, she's open to helping the winning team to take it to launch. So that's the two things. Lastly, meeting links, I just dropped it in Slack as well. I know Pragya dropped it there as well. So we're gonna switch to that Zoom. So if you guys are interested in meeting other participants, we're bringing in multiple mentors as well. So you might get the opportunity to meet mentors from different companies. So that, and then yeah. So that being said, team, let's switch.
Woohoo!
Bye.
Bye bye. See you all soon.